Hello, everybody, and welcome to week 12 reaction podcast of Fourth and One podcast. I'm your host, Captain Boring. Thank you for being here. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share if you like these types of videos so I know to keep making them. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. Week 12 is in the books. Hard to believe there are only 2 more weeks left of college football regular season. Feels like just yesterday it was Labor Day weekend and we were rocking and rolling, and it was a start and everyone was excited for a new season. And now some fans are in the dumps, like Clemson, who actually won at Louisville on Friday night, and then other fans are ecstatic, like Ohio State and Indiana, who just keep on rolling on. They got 48-10 and 31-7 victories respectively. I'm not going to cover them because they're just right now 2 teams that are cream of the crop. Where I am going to start, however, is in Chicago, Wrigley Field, Michigan. It was the first game of the day. Michigan and Northwestern. And on paper, Michigan dominated this game. They had almost 500 yards of total offense to Northwestern's 245. They had 25 first downs. They were 9 of 14 on third down efficiency. Northwestern was 2 of 12. Northwestern was 1 for 1 on fourth down. Michigan tried a fourth down conversion, didn't get it. Michigan ran the ball for 216. They threw the ball for 280. Like Northwestern only had 2.3 yards of carry, 61 yards. Michigan, 33 times of possession. This should have been a 50-7 game, a 48-7 game. And instead, Michigan needed a walk-off field goal. Why? 5 turnovers, 3 fumbles lost, and Bryce Underwood had his freshman moments at points in this game where he was staring down receivers and threw 2 interceptions. So a couple things with this. First and foremost, I don't need to see Shamaj Morgan. I'm done with him being on the field. Every time he touches the ball, nothing really good happens. So I know he's out there doing his best, but it is time to find someone else. Andrew Marsh, the true freshman stud, 12 receptions, $189. He was excellent and really a savior late in that game. Michigan, Dominic Zavada, he misses 2 field goals. One was from 60 yards, so I do understand that. The one was from 34 yards, the opening drive of the game. Michigan just shot themselves in the foot. What I've been saying about Michigan for the last month or so, it's 2 step forwards and 1 giant step back, so you're only moving forward little bits at a time. Offense looked great. Defense looked excellent, but they shot themselves in the foot on offense, and they just kept moving. They didn't get anywhere. So Robert thought that Northwestern was going to win this game. I think Maryland's going to beat Michigan next week because Michigan's on the road again week before Ohio State, and then I think Ohio State just trounces them. However, Michigan survives and advances, and that was kind of a theme for Saturday because that is also what USC did. USC rallied from down 11 against Iowa. If I can find that box score, here it is. Rallied down 11 at Iowa, and with the nation's number 1 leading offense, they came back, dominated the second half, and got a W at home after Iowa took a 21-10 lead. It looked like Iowa was going to have a typical Iowa game, but then off of a crazy turnover where it bounced off the receiver's knee, like launched back right into the hands of the defense for USC. That was the turning point, and they were able to get a touchdown early in the fourth quarter, and that was the game winner, 26-21. USC to me does look like a playoff team, not necessarily a natty contender, but a playoff team because of the offense. The defense does do just enough, but they're going to have to go to Oregon. If they lose to Oregon, that opens the door for Michigan. So right now, next week's game between Oregon and USC is big for Michigan. I thought that was going to be on a Friday night, but it is Saturday. Number 17 USC at number 8 Oregon next week is big for not only USC, but also big for Michigan because USC loses that and Michigan wins out. Michigan is in the Big Ten title game. Can you believe that? After Michigan just looking so young, and they're probably going to get even younger because Jordan Marshall left with a shoulder injury. He was having a great day. He ran for like a $189, then got hurt. They had Cudzall and Jasper Parker had to finish the game, and Cudzall was great. I can see the speed with Cudzall, but Jordan Marshall really was Michigan's savior for most of that game, kind of calmed things down. But Michigan still has a shot. USC still has a shot. Both USC and Michigan, their fates are tied together, and it all hinges on how USC, if USC beats Oregon and then wins UCLA, guess what? USC is probably getting that final spot over Michigan. USC loses one more time and Michigan wins out. Michigan's probably getting that final spot. So Big Ten is going to be exciting. A lot of conferences are going to be exciting. Also in the noon window was Notre Dame. They are in my top 5 natty contender again. I understand they have the 2 losses, but they have just been in every game. They've been on the road. They can win high-scoring games. They can win low-scoring games. Their defense is real solid. Jeremiah Love, 23 carries, $147, and a touchdown. He should be in people's Heisman consideration. CJ Carr does just enough. He did throw 2 interceptions. Again, this is a freshman starter. Redshirt freshman, I should say, but still a first-time starter. But the defense held Pitt to 219 yards and only 24 minutes time of possession. So really Notre Dame dominated this 37-15 win, which the score would indicate, but I'm telling everyone it was not even that close. They're finding some speed on the outside as well as Notre Dame. Pittsburgh is still in the ACC title because this was not a conference game at all. So their coach said, I don't care if we lose to Notre Dame 110-10. All I care about is the next 2 ACC games. Well, he's got a shot because Pittsburgh still, they're at number 16 Georgia Tech, who also survived on Saturday. I'll get to that in a minute. And then they finished with a home game versus Miami. They win those 2 games, they're probably in the ACC title game. They're probably on the verge of a playoff. The ACC could either play its way into having 2 teams in the college football playoff or no teams in the college football playoff or just 1, maybe. So a lot to be determined, but Pittsburgh's right there. Georgia Tech's right there. Miami probably not getting in the conference title game. Will they get in at large? Remains to be seen. Navy and North Texas seem to be the contenders for the American. They both got dubs on Saturday. Navy took down number 24 South Florida at home 41-38 in a very entertaining back and forth high-powered offense game. The midshipmen out of Navy ran for 338 yards, had time of possession for 35 minutes. And here's the thing. If you can't get Navy off the field, if you can't slow down their running attack, they will just eat the clock away and eat the game away, and that's what they did as well. Even their backup quarterback came in late in the game because Blake Horvath had to leave due to injury, and the offense just kept moving, kept running. Byron Brown did his best. He had over 500, just about 500 total yards of offense. He was excellent, but UCF now 4-2 in the American. Navy is 6-1 in the American. So it really looks like we are setting up a showdown between Navy and North Texas. And North Texas, after losing to Tulane a few weeks ago, have just been ripping off wins. 53-24. They're now 9-1 overall and 5-1 in the American. And to me, it's their offense that makes them a playoff contender over a team like Navy, because they can throw it and they can run it at any time. Navy really can only run it, but Drew Mestemaker, the freshman, he is lighting it up. Will probably be freshman of the year. Look out for North Texas, who's 9-1, 5-1 in the American, and right now on a collision course for Navy, but the final weekend around Thanksgiving is going to tell us a lot about the American, and I am here for it. To finish out Group of 5 right now, though, according to the All-State Playoff Predictor on ESPN, the Group of 5 team with the highest chance to get into the playoff is actually JMU, Kirk Cignetti's whole team. They get a 58-10 win over App State. Now, App State is 4-6. They're 1-5 in the Sun Belt. James Madison undefeated in the Sun Belt and 9-1, but they have been absolutely rolling. James Madison's only loss was a week 2 loss to Louisville on the road, 28-14. They played Louisville better than some ACC schools have this year. It's still a loss, granted. Their strength of schedule isn't that great, but they'll get a power win, hopefully. Washington State coming up, then they finish with Coastal Carolina. Right now, they're in line to play Southern Miss in the Sun Belt Championship game. This is going to be very interesting. Which Group of 5 gets the W or gets the nod to make the college football playoff and be that 12th seed is what it's lining up right now to be. A&M, Texas A&M, did what Michigan did. Went on, or they actually had a home game, didn't go on the road. Against South Carolina, a team they should be beating. They've been playing well. A&M's been playing a lot better than Michigan. A&M, 503 total yards to 388. 439 passing to 267. Now, A&M only ran the ball for 64 yards. They had less penalties, but here's the deal. They had more time of possession. 4 turnovers. 3 of them in the first half. And they were down 30-3 at halftime. They then rattled off 28 straight and get a 31-30 come from behind win at home. They had to pass a lot, so that's only why they had 64 yards rushing. A&M is, again, one of those teams that can win high-scoring games, low-scoring games, on the road, at home, wherever you need them to be. So, again, I'm sliding them into my Natty Contenders list, and I will give that at the end, my 5 teams who are on my Contenders list. But Texas A&M gets my award for no quit on the day because they could have just rolled over and been the same old Texas A&M team that their fans and college football fans are used to, and they were not. They battled back in the second half, ripped off 28 straight, and won the game. And so if they win out, they're setting up a date with Georgia, who on Saturday night dominated Texas 35-10. Georgia right now moves into my Natty favorite. So they're on my Natty Contenders top 5 list, but they are now my new favorite. It was Ohio State, now it's Georgia. And the only reason Georgia moves ahead of Ohio State is Georgia has been through it a little bit. I still like Ohio State. I think Ohio State might even be favored if they played tomorrow, neutral site. But Georgia is my new Natty favorite because they can win high-scoring games, low-scoring games, on the road, at home, wherever you need. They finally played a complete game against Texas, 35-10, dominant victory. Arch Manning wasn't terrible, wasn't great, did have a turnover. He was 251. His QBR was just shy of 60. Texas's problem again, they ran for 23 yards. That's problem. To me, Texas is done. However, the committee seems to like SEC teams, so I'm guessing Texas only drops to like 14. But I think Texas, with 3 losses, should be done. Absolutely. Georgia, very well balanced. Gunnar Stockton, 4 touchdown passes. QBR just shy of 95. Georgia also ran for 128. Georgia is just a very, very balanced team offensively. Their defense has been kind of up and down, especially in halves, but they played a complete game and got a top 10 win at home. Oklahoma got a top 10 win on the road in Tuscaloosa. Oklahoma has been on this survive and advance train for about a month now, ever since they lost to Texas. Bama dominated the game. Again, it was one of these games where they dominate the game, but in this case, they don't win. Michigan dominated the game, got a last-second win. Texas A&M dominated the game, but had to come from behind. Well, Alabama dominated this game. 406 to 212 total offense, 326 to 138. They even outrushed Oklahoma, and Alabama's rushing attack is terrible. 80 to 74. Oklahoma's is much better. Time of possession, 9 more minutes. However, what is it, everyone? Say it with me. Turnovers. That was the big theme. You dominated the game, but you turned the ball over. It's always going to keep the team that shouldn't be in the conversation to win the game in the game. Alabama had 3 turnovers. Ty Simpson was kind of up and down, had 1 really bad interception. John Mateer did just enough. The Oklahoma defense got a 87-yard pick 6 to make it 10-0, and then off of another turnover, they kicked what would be the game-winning field goal. But Oklahoma didn't run the ball. Alabama really didn't run the ball. Again, Alabama should have won this game. Didn't. Now, again, it puts Georgia in the driver's seat to win, to go to the SEC title game, to face Texas A&M. Still a long way, still a couple weeks to go. But they got to beat Auburn now. That's their last conference game. They get Eastern Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, something like that next week, which is just, I can't wait for the SEC to go to 9 conference games. So Oklahoma survives and advances. 2 losses now. Now they're looking at an at-large team. Alabama's got 2 losses. 1 more loss probably disqualifies them. The ending of the college football season is going to be fascinating. Alabama is not in my natty contenders list because they can't run the football, and that would be the same with OU. They both got really good defenses, but if you can't run the ball consistently, I'm sorry, you're not going to be in my natty contenders list, and everyone in my natty contenders list is able to run the ball consistently, kind of whenever they want. Okay, the ACC, Georgia Tech goes on the road to Boston College. If I can find the box score and the game, where is it? It's right here. And has, again, one of these games where they offensively outgained Boston College. 628 to 537. Outrushed 257 175. More time of possession. They only had 1 turnover now, but Boston College came to play. Georgia Tech has to kick a game-winning field goal. So them and Michigan kind of both went on the road, both messed around with teams that they should have dominated offensively. In Michigan's case, turned the ball over 5 times. In Georgia Tech's case, didn't play good defense. They had to overcome a double-digit deficit in the second half, did Georgia Tech, but they get a game winning field goal as time expires. Haynes King was just superb. His QBR was just shy of 75, 26 to 34 for 371 and a touchdown. He also added 53 yards on the ground. Boston College, they're 1-10, 0-7 in the ACC, but they're still fighting. They're still fighting for now. So Georgia Tech gets a big win for the ACC. Virginia puts together a game, finally, on the road versus Duke. I picked Duke to win this game. Virginia dominates the game. 540 to 255. Held the ball for 11 more minutes. Did have 2 turnovers, but they did force Duke into 1. They ran the ball for 224. They finally had over 300 yards of offense. Chandler Morris, their quarterback, was welcomed back after injury, and that's probably why the offense started to click a little bit more. But Virginia now in the driver's seat to face Georgia Tech in the ACC title. But I will say this about the ACC. Miami also got a big win. They had like 581 yards of offense, and they took down NC State at home. So between those 3 teams, those are really the 3 teams that people are like, those are the ACC's best shot, which I agree with. Here's the thing with the ACC. I do not feel like anyone's a contender. And I'm not going full Paul Feinbaum saying the group of five can't be in because it's like playing AAA in Major League. No. I want smaller conferences. I think all conferences should get a chance to be represented. Play your way in, win your conference, play your way in. But I don't think that there is a contender in the ACC, a natty contender. Playoff contender, absolutely. I think Georgia Tech, whoever they get, if they were to make it, get matched up with, I think that would be fascinating. I think Miami has the best shot because of the two pass rushers in Akeem Mesidor and Ruben Bain, and then their quarterback, whose name whose name's currently escaping me, and I'm looking Carson Beck. His experience, I think that gives them they could be wildly fascinating. I'm still not a believer in Virginia. I'm sorry, Virginia fans. You can come at me. Tony Elliott, you can put this video up as motivations for your team. Feel free. But I'm not a believer in Virginia. I don't think Virginia can get it done on a week in, week out basis. And I do think if they get matched up with a Miami or Georgia Tech, I do think they are touchdown underdogs in Vegas. Now, that's not all the end all be all, because Michigan was 2 touchdown favorites. So was Georgia Tech. So was, all of these teams that had to pull out close wins or even lost. A&M was like a 2 touchdown favorite, 3 touchdown, maybe 3 score. But I'm not a believer in Virginia. I am a believer in Georgia Tech. Miami-ish. However, Miami's got some qualifying losses that I just don't think they should be in the playoff. However, they did beat Notre Dame. So you got 2 sides of the same coin. All right, Texas Tech's defense. Texas Tech keeps rolling on, and their defense is really, really good. They dominated UCF 48-9. They held UCF to 230 total yards. Meanwhile, they had 500 yards on offense. Texas Tech just does everything. They forced 2 turnovers. They held UCF to 52 rushing yards. Just that defensive line controlling the game, and Texas Tech gets it done. I do think Texas Tech is not only a playoff contender, but in a natty contender. I really do. I think Ole Miss is in there as well now. We might have more than 5, but in no particular order. Actually, I am going to put them in an order. My natty contenders. Again, this changes weekly. These are the 5 teams I think can win the national title. Are Georgia, Ohio State, Indiana, which is a wild thing to say. Wild thing to say. I'm here for it. I wish I wasn't here for it, but hey, I'm here for it. So Georgia, Ohio State, Indiana. I think A&M is in there. And then finally, I would move Texas Tech past Ole Miss. I had Ole Miss in there, but Ole Miss messed around with Florida a little bit. Lane Kiffin had never beat Florida in his time at Ole Miss. He's still at Ole Miss, technically. For now, anyway. I hope he stays. But he had never beaten them. They do get a 34-24 lead, but they were down by 3 start of the fourth quarter. So they kind of just messed around. But Texas Tech really hasn't messed around. They had one kind of mess up early in the season. But those are my national contender list. And they are in order. Georgia, Ohio State, and that can flop on it. And again, this changes week in, week out. Indiana, Texas A&M, and then Texas Tech. I think on the outside looking in are teams like Ole Miss would be my first team out. And then Notre Dame would be right there as well. Notre Dame, Ole Miss on the outside looking in. A team to keep your eye on is number 13 Utah, because I lost track of them. They got 2 losses, but they bludgeoned Baylor on the road. 55-28. They are rocking and rolling. How they're 13, I'm not sure with 2 losses. Their losses are a 24-point loss to Texas Tech and a 3-point loss on the road to BYU. So they've beaten Well, Cincinnati was also lost, but they were ranked. So right now, their only ranked win is Cincinnati, and it's about to be they have no ranked wins. Now, they had ranked wins at the time they played them, but you know how my feelings on this. I do not think. I think you have to look at strength of schedule and ranked wins off of current ranked teams, not teams that were ranked. Arizona State not ranked right now, so you can't count that as a ranked win. Right? Cincinnati was a ranked win. Now it's not going to be a ranked win sort of deal. So it works both ways, right? If you lose to an unranked team really bad, like say Michigan to USC, and now USC's on the verge of the playoff, you have to look at that as a ranked loss. Same thing with Oklahoma. Michigan, top 10 loss, 11-point loss on the road to Oklahoma, sort of deal. Not saying Michigan's a playoff contender, because I don't think they are, but I think they can get there, but I don't think that they are. So just that's my feeling on ranked wins. Let's see what else here I have. I think that may actually do it. Let me just scroll down here. Oklahoma State, Kansas State played the most boring game of the day, 14-6 there. Tennessee, I think that does it, everyone. This is going to be a wild last 2 weeks. I cannot wait. Thanksgiving weekend. Black Friday football is the best football of the whole season. You can at me if you want. Next week, big week for the Big Ten. If USC beats Oregon, USC seems to be locking up a college football playoff spot. If USC loses to Oregon and Michigan wins, it opens the door for the final weekend for Michigan to make the Big Ten title game and get a playoff berth or get a playoff berth as well. BYU's going on the road to Cincinnati. Michigan's going on the road to Maryland. I actually think they lose that game. SMU's still in the ACC title game. We're going to talk all about all of this on the 4th and 1 podcast, the main edition. So be sure to check in there. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Wash your hands, you filthy animals. It's so good to be back here. I love these recap pods. It lets me just be analytical and kind of just tell you what I watched yesterday, because I do love talking football. So if anyone has any thing that they want me to talk about more, drop it in the comments below. If not, I will see you all Wednesday for a brand new edition of 4th and 1 podcast. See you, everybody.